Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a super complex strategic dilemma right now: Israel's predicament with Iran's missile launches.
Yeah, it's intense. So Israel is stuck in a catch-22 where they really can't afford to let these missiles fly, but at the same time, shooting them down burns through their interceptor supplies.
Exactly. And the crux is in the cost mismatch. Iran fires missiles at maybe $1 million each, while Israel's interceptor missiles cost about $2 million apiece. So every interception is a costly affair.
Right? And that means even if Iran's missile doesn't hit its target, they're still achieving strategic leverage by forcing Israel to lose two interceptors per missile.
Yep, it's like imagine if you had to pay double every time you interrupted someone's idea. You quickly run out of resources, don't you think?
Absolutely. And considering Israel's already nearly out of days' worth of supply for these long range interceptors, the arrows, it's a ticking clock situation.
For sure. And it gets more complicated because if they try to rebuild stocks, there's the whole issue with China's stringent export bans on advanced rare earth metals and magnets, which are vital for these munitions.
Yep.
So production delays are a real risk here.
I mean, it's like trying to bake a cake when you can't get eggs. No matter how badly you want one, you're stuck without a key ingredient.
Exactly. It's a perfect analogy. The cost and resource gaps force Israel into a strategic dilemma: to shoot or not to shoot, knowing that either choice has massive repercussions.
Yeah. And let's not forget the broader strategic messaging this sends. If Iran knows that each missile launch guarantees, say, two expensive losses for Israel, they might view their own launches as wins in the long run.
Right. It's really a war of attrition measured in dollars as much as in military might. Each missile becomes a calculated move on the cost chessboard.
Now, though, I have to ask, isn't there a risk that Israel might try to develop alternative strategies instead of relying solely on interceptors?
That's a fair point. Some analysts argue that Israel might explore multi-layered defense systems or even offensive countermeasures.
Right.
But the interceptor shortage is still the immediate crisis.
I get it, but wouldn't reinforcing electronic warfare capabilities or cyber strategies be a potential workaround?
Sure, that's a possibility. However, while those measures might help mitigate the threat, they don't fully cover the need to neutralize actual missile threats in real time. The physical intercept is still crucial.
Agreed. The physical missiles are hard to substitute with any digital defense system.
Right, especially when you consider that every interception operation not only costs money, but also wears down the existing system. And when Israel is already nearly maxed out on its supplies, every shot fired is a strategic gamble.
Yeah. Now, this brings up the economic aspect. The numbers alone, $2 million per interception versus $1 million for a missile, imply that after a handful of exchanges, Israel's costs could escalate dramatically.
Exactly. And think about this. Iran doesn't even need to hit its target precisely.
Right.
Just launching the missile creates a deterrent effect, forcing Israel into an expensive response cycle.
It's almost like a strategic taximeter ticking up every time they respond.
Totally. And an important detail here is that with just days of flyable interceptors left, Israel is in a race against time and against economic attrition.
And another layer to that is the export bans. Without the critical rare earth components, even if Israel wanted to replenish its stocks faster, it might be held back by forces beyond its control.
Exactly. These bans are a significant choke point in the supply chain. Israel can't just ramp up production overnight because of these external controls imposed by China.
So, in a way, it's not just a military puzzle, but also a geopolitical one. The interplay of international trade, export policies, and military needs all collide here.
Yes, it's a multidimensional challenge, and it forces Israel to constantly balance the immediate need for defense with long-term sustainability.
It's like walking on a tightrope where every step could cost a fortune.
Right, and if I may, while the numbers clearly illustrate the cost disparity, some might argue that Israel's advanced technologies and tactical advantages could compensate for the financial drain.
Yeah, I get
But
that.
I'm not entirely convinced that tech alone can solve a supply shortage.
That's a good point. The tech might mitigate some risks, but if you're out of interceptors during a critical moment, no amount of advanced tech will bring them back instantly.
Exactly. It's a conundrum where The high-tech defenses are only as effective as their available arsenal, and if that arsenal is dwindling, then every missile launched by Iran becomes a calculated financial and resource blow.
Given this, wouldn't it be interesting to see if Israel might adjust its military doctrine, perhaps even accept some missile breaches as a cost-saving measure?
That's an intriguing thought. Some military analysts believe that Israel might have to strategically allow a few missiles through rather than depleting their resources entirely. It's a risky
Yeah.
gamble, but maybe a necessary one.
But isn't that incredibly dangerous? Allowing missiles through could escalate the conflict or lead to unexpected collateral damage.
Absolutely. It's a high stakes risk with potentially enormous political and military consequences. And here's where the analysis gets really nuanced. The decision isn't just about cost, but about survival strategy in a prolonged tension scenario.
Yeah, very nuanced. And considering that each interceptor is not just a weapon but part of a broader defense network, losing them affects future readiness too.
Right, it's like having a limited supply of lifeboats in a storm. You can only use so many before you're left high and dry.
And then there's the economic pressure from hundreds of millions of dollars a day being poured into this conflict. The drain is real, and each missile interception adds up over time.
Exactly. Sustained conflict with these cost disparities strains not only military resources, but also national budgets. It forces Israel to continually weigh the cost of defense against the cost of potential offensive retaliation from Iran.
Yep. So ultimately, the situation is one of balancing acts. Intercept enough to protect the country, but not so much that it drains their entire defense capacity economically and materially.
Right on. And the global ramifications extend even further, since limited interceptor supplies could shift regional power dynamics and influence alliances.
Yeah. This interplay of economics, technology, and geopolitics really brings home the point. Modern warfare isn't just about armies and firepower, it's a chess game involving dollars, supply chains, and international relations.
Precisely. And while Israel's current predicament is a stark example, it underscores a broader trend in global defense strategies where cost effectiveness and technological adaptability are paramount.
It's fascinating and a little unnerving to see how a seemingly small cost difference in hardware can cascade into such a monumental strategic challenge.
Totally. And as we watch these events unfold, we're reminded that in warfare, every missile, every decision carries a weight that goes far beyond simple numbers.
Absolutely. Well, this discussion truly sheds light on how complex and intertwined modern conflicts have become. Thanks for unpacking this with me. It's been enlightening.
Anytime. And to our listeners, stay tuned as we keep an eye on these developments. There's always more than meets the eye in global strategy.